90% of consumers read online reviews before visiting a business. What do people see when they look you up online? We give you the tools you need to take control of your reputation. Send surveys to your customers via text message with Testimonial Collector. Get 5-star reviews on all the major platforms like Google, Yelp, and more. Track what people are saying about your business with Reputation Manager. Respond to comments and turn negative reviews into happy customers. See what your competitors' customers are saying about them with Competition Tracker. Learn great marketing tactics and what it takes to stay on top. A bigger social presence means more connections. Automatically generate and schedule engaging social media posts with Social 365. Build trust, boost sales, and grow your business.
Hello, everybody, and it is Thursday. You're tuning into the Entrepreneur Live Show, as we always bring really great, influential interviews, our guests that are entrepreneurs, influencers, celebrity guests, authors, everything that you would want to help for great development, growing your business. So thank you for tuning in. For everybody who is watching live on one of your very favorite social media platforms, thank you for tuning in live. Thumbs up, share, make sure you subscribe to one of our many platforms that we stream live on. And if you are listening or downloading on one of your favorite podcast apps, how we appreciate you and all the continued followers and the downloads. I so appreciate it, even though I can't see you. I see that my guests have been really influential because you're downloading even old shows on the replay. So let me tell you, that says a lot for me. And make sure that if you are following for the first time, because I realized I just got some new followers, yay, which is awesome, and subscribers, make sure that you go to the website. You can check out all the old interview, the past interview, the upcoming guests on the calendar, as well as you can connect with any of them by going to the entrepreneurliveshow.com, and then it will have links to every single streaming platform we are on that you can subscribe to. Okay, so let me get the housekeeping out of the way. Always want to be thankful for my sponsors and Marketing Out the Box with Sean Maddox. Reach more people, grow your business, beat the competition. Make sure you go to iwantmorecustomers.com. I want more customers now.com. And that is Marketing Out the Box with Sean Maddox. And then to, of course, my new sponsor, which is Wax Radio, which let me tell you, they are going to have it going on. So get in on it now. That is at spinwaxradio.com for more worldwide radio airplay exposure in every genre. Music, always looking for great talent. Make sure you check out spinwaxradio.com. And of course, you're tuning into the Entrepreneur Live Show. So let's see who my guest is today. So I always want to say thank you to the publicists that I deal with, because they are amazing, because they always bring me the best guests, the best people. I'm always hunting down for really, really good, influential people to have on the show, for my entrepreneurs, for people just in their personal life. Let me tell you, my guests cover all bases. And so today I have Alexa Carlin, CEO and founder of Women Empower X. And you may have seen her on, many different, she has had a part in many different brands like Oprah Winfrey, so on CBS, Fox. I think it's the magazine, Glamour magazine, as well as having some really great events for women entrepreneurs. So just because I'm saying women does not mean this is just for women, but she's very influential. I think that if you are a woman entrepreneur, really an entrepreneur in general, she is the one you want to listen to and connect with. She has a really great story, and we really want to also talk about her new debut book coming out. And I think it goes hand in hand with what she does and what she can do for you. So let's bring Alexa Carlin onto the platform and get to know her. I hope you guys love her and share so people can connect with her, because let me tell you, we all need a little some of this right now. So let me bring her onto the show and welcome Miss Alexa. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for accepting the invite to be on the show. And, I kind of stalked your page a bit. I loved the bio that I received. And I have to tell you that you have, I think you're what's the word? Even though I know that you are empowering of women, I think that what you can share and what you do really can empower anyone.
Well, thank you so much.
So I do believe that. But I wanted to start off by saying, I know that, that you do help and you empower women, and you've done different types of events and speaking, but that's not really how you started. You actually started in another industry as an entrepreneur. And if you can kind of explain that, even though I read before you even got to the stage where you are now.
Yeah, so when I was 17 years old, I always had a dream of working in the fashion industry. And at 17, I found a company that I really loved what they were doing in the sense of using fashion to help build schools in Africa. And through that mission, I reached out, I pitched myself, and I ended up getting the sole licensee agreement to be able to design jewelry under my own label using their logo. And so I started my first real business, as I call it, outside of the dog walking business or the bedazzled bracelets business that I sold to my mom's friends. But I started my first real business as the sole licensee for a huge LA-based fashion company that was backed by Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Zac Efron. And that really was my first dive into entrepreneurship. And I fell in love with the journey of turning an idea into reality and then using that for good to make a difference in at least one person's life a day.
So I know that but that kind of changed, or did that change your, so I don't want to be too personal, but I know that you had somewhat of a traumatic medical experience. And is that what changed your whole view on how you would move forward with your vision, your entrepreneurship, and where you are today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'm a completely open book. I share very vulnerably in my new book, Adaptable, not just my journey and the near-death experience and my chronic autoimmune from that experience, but a lot of embarrassing things and a lot of hard times and darkness that I was living in for a good 7 years. But to get back to your question, yeah, it changed dramatically because I was always growing something in the sense of my own brand. Like after the jewelry business, I started a blog to help instill confidence in girls and young women. And that led to what I was doing out of college. When I graduated, I moved to New York City, got my dream job working at InStyle magazine. But what I realized shortly after that was I didn't feel aligned with that purpose anymore because of my near-death experience. So for anyone that's new, that's watching, and I'm sure there's a lot of you, I had a traumatic, crazy near-death experience when I was just 21 years old, a few months away from graduating college, where a bacteria got in my bloodstream, started killing all of my organs rapidly, and I was induced into a medical coma, given a 1% chance to live. And that changed my entire life because even 6 months after that, I was diagnosed with a chronic autoimmune disease, which anyone knows, like, there's no cure for it. It's something that I live with day in and day out. And here I was now, a few months after all of this happened. I left my family in Florida, moved to New York City, and was working in the fashion industry, what I thought was my dream. But I didn't feel aligned with it anymore. And I realized, like, this dream, while it used to be what I thought I wanted, it doesn't belong to me anymore. And that's why there was so much suffering. There's so much pain. And my experience definitely made me pivot. And I got into really wellness and spirituality. And then I really wanted to share my story as a speaker. And that happened because I felt like I had to find a reason why this happened for me versus to me. And so I found a new passion to share my story vulnerably. That led me on the journey of speaking, which led me to what I'm doing today.
I noted that on your, I would call it your mission statement, where I read that you really love the part I like about the mission statement, where it says you're on a mission to make a difference, helping women grow impactful businesses using their authentic voice. But I think the key word that emphasized there is impactful business and authentic voice. And can you just kind of describe what you mean by that? Because I think personally, women don't feel as though they're always not known to be in the workplace, in the forefront, in in a leadership position. What is your definition of when you use those specific words, impactful and authentic voice?
Well, for impactful business, I mean, like I believe that when you are pursuing your passion, what you believe is your purpose, and that may change over time, like it changed for me, but what you believe right now is aligned to who you are and to your intuition. There's going to be a sense of impact because it's going to impact your life. And therefore, I believe there's a ripple effect of change. So when more people are pursuing what they love, I think the world becomes a better place. And therefore, there's positive impact. But so often we're looking at all those shiny objects. You should do this. You should do this. You should go down that route. And we're forgetting to listen to ourselves. And that's how you create that impactful business. Because when you create more impact, you're going to create more income. And it's vice versa too, right? More income helps you create more impact. And so that's what I really mean. Like everyone in the WEX community is focused not just on building 6, 7, 8-figure businesses, but they're creating impact doing it. And it doesn't matter what industry you're doing it. All that matters is that you then use your authentic voice to grow your business. And that is what creates the impact. So when I talk about authentic voice, it's not just sharing what you do, your successes, what's on your resume. It's sharing who you are with people. And when you share who you are in what you do, you're always going to rise above the noise, and you're always going to help impact others and inspire others to then speak up and stand up for what they believe in, because you're showing up vulnerably and transparently. And the world is starving for those authentic, empathetic, really transparent leaders. And I believe that like you don't have to wait to overcome something in order to be viewed as an influential leader. If anything, I did the opposite. I was showing like the raw journey. I mean, there was many times when I would be crying on live stream apps saying like all the stuff that's going on, but I showed them through action. I was still pursuing my dreams, still trying to inspire people, even when I wasn't like there yet in a way. And so I think that's really important. And there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be obstacles. And so many times we're just hiding them away from the world. And the moment that we decide to have the courage to share them, that's when you're going to become more influential in your industry, in your community, amongst your peers, and possibly in the world.
Something that you said just really just resonated right now, because I've listened to many speakers. And at one point I thought, people's like, oh, I've been asked to speak places, but it's not the same thing. And so when it's hard to be a speaker, but I've heard many speakers, but it was more, they didn't, how you say, being the transparent, share that we're one and the same. I've been in your position. It's more just been saying how to become a speaker and what I'm doing now. So it's hard to resonate. It's hard to capture. So you don't feel connected. So when you said that, it really said a lot, because I think that it connects you with your audience.
Definitely. I mean, I started speaking for that very reason, because when I was going through so much darkness, pain, with my autoimmune and trying to live with this new normal for me, because it was very debilitating. I mean, there was 8 months of my life I couldn't even leave my apartment to walk my dog. I was so sick. And when I'm 22, 23, 24 years old, it's like, how can I continue? And I was trying to heal myself, and I was going to all these different conferences, seeing New York Times bestselling authors, spiritual leaders, all top speakers, and they were great. Don't get me wrong, very inspirational, very thought provoking, but all of them had the same theme in their speech. They talked about their past struggles, what they did to overcome them, and how you can do it too. And for someone that's trying to overcome something that's in their past that can be overcome, like that would be transformational for them. But for me, I left those conferences feeling worse because I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to overcome this. So how can you sit there and say that anyone can do it? And I think that's really important. And I think that's why my speeches have resonated with so many people, because we're always going through something, whether it's chronic, like mental health challenges, autoimmune disease challenges, or even like loss, right? Loss is permanent. And we always feel some type of pain with that. Or doubt or imposter syndrome. It could be anything. We're always going through something. And I'm like, why would we want to spend our entire life trying to overcome things until we could be the person we want to be and achieve what we want to achieve? So I was like, you don't have to wait. You can do what you want right now through the obstacle while you're living it. There is no waiting. I mean, I was waiting for months, if not years, but after 1 year goes by, 2 years goes by, it's like I'm sick and tired of waiting. And I realized, like, you must not wait for your life to change. You must change your own life. And there's some things that are out of our control. I can't change the fact that I have an autoimmune disease. I can't. We can't change what's happened in the past 18 months with the pandemic. But the more you focus on what you can control, you use your obstacles to turn them into opportunities, to be more empathetic towards others, to find your authentic voice, to chase after what you love, to, be able to discover how strong and resilient you really are. It's not easy, but it's so worth it.
It's really great that you put in the emphasis of educating your entrepreneurship and the health and wellness, because that's not normally a combination all in one. But I've seen that anyway with speakers or influencers do. And I know in your book you talk about utilizing your own challenges and inspiring yourself and thriving to what and working through those obstacles and feeling forward. And that's where you're saying that even though you're going through something, it doesn't mean you have to wait. You can still feel forward and still, get to your goals and progress with your goals, which is, I've never heard that before. Usually people, you go through all your therapy and all these sessions, and then you're like, now you've gone and you finished this and you go to the next thing. It's like, when am I ever going to get to the end destination of when I want to get there and start the journey where I'm trying to get to?
Right. And that's exactly like why I wrote my book that just came out called Adaptable, because I look back on my entire journey and, current journey. And through everything that I've achieved, I've had to adapt to challenges, circumstances, things that were out of my control in order to move forward. And I think that's so necessary and imperative for success, is to be that adaptable leader, the adaptable person, an adaptable mom, dad, son, sister. Like, the more you can adapt to what's thrown your way, the more you take back ownership and power over your own life, and you stop being a victim to circumstance. And it is a lifelong journey. But I really share in the book, like, each story, each chapter is a vulnerable personal story that's linked to a transformational lesson in actually how to adapt and implement it into your own life, from overcoming the fear of missing out to finding the good, to learning how to build, a community of people that really honor your vulnerabilities, to crazy stories of like meeting Marc Jacobs and, the synchronicities of the world, and how you need to be open to them because they're all around us. And when you can trust and surrender to the journey, which is another chapter, but surrendering to the flow of things, life just becomes way more fun, way more fun.
So in your, I know that you do offer different programs, And so, and I visited your website, and I know that, and you offer programs, and women can become membership of Webex, and then you also have like speakers and helping. And is this all of this stuff? Are you able to utilize your book in assisting them, and when you're helping them, if they want to get into a position of being a speaker and even being an author themselves within the program of everything that you do?
Yeah, so definitely we launched the WEX membership
Mhm.
in the end of 2020 as a result of, pivoting with purpose during the pandemic. But the membership really dives into not just, what you need to do, but how do you actually do it, while providing the support, the accountability, and the mindset to make sure that you continue with that momentum that's needed, as well as the fueling with that energy. Energy, confidence is so important to success. So, most of the time, the first step is people become a member, and we have coaching with me, community masterminds, live Q&As, and it really talks on topics that are related to using your authentic voice on multiple platforms to grow your business. And that, of course, needs to have that confidence, that adaptability. What happens if right now, the show pauses for a second, right? You have to be able to adapt and keep on going. It happens all the time, even when you're on stages, virtual or in person. You have to be able to adapt on site and not feel bad about that, have that confidence with it. So that's what the membership really focuses on, is that community and that training around that. And then we launched WEX Press, which is an opportunity for more diverse voices, women in business, that are interested in getting their book, their story published, and writing a book. And so we partnered with my publisher to offer that opportunity where people can apply and potentially get a traditional publishing deal for their book, because I think more women's stories need to be heard, and it's very difficult to get a traditional publishing deal. So we want to open the doors for more women with that. And then the speaker course is more on the side of more in-depth for training on really how to use speaking to grow your business. And these are for, this training is more for entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, speakers who have already, been successful in what they're doing. And now they're like, I don't know how to market this anymore.
Right.
Social media is overwhelming. Advertising is overwhelming. And I want to make an impact in what I'm doing. I want to be the subject matter expert. Public speaking is by far the best marketing vehicle, as well as the best positioning tool to be an expert and rise above, your competition. So that's a more in-depth training for people that are at a certain level already in their business.
So can you share a little about when you actually got when you started you had your first speaking assignment, your first event, so from someone, the transition, and to me, I'm not a speaker, but I know that I did like a speaker training somewhere.
You are a
And
speaker
it was
because
so weird. It was
you're
just,
speaking right now.
well, this is different because so
Public
different from being a speaker.
You might not be a professional speaker. That's what I think most people get confused with, because public speaking is on so many different platforms.
Yeah.
So you might not be a professional speaker in the sense you get paid to be on like a keynote speaker, but you are using public speaking to grow your business because of this show.
Correct. You are correct. And so that's why I was saying there's such a difference. And speaking, I'm sure you've seen this a lot also. I've seen on social media. If you want to be a speaker, I can get you a speaking gig and stuff. And I'm like, I remember I've gone to see people, and I'm just like, wow, I never really got anything out of it. And it just kind of seemed like a conversation. But then I've also paid to see people for $300 and $500, because I'm like, okay, they're filling up a room. So there's a reason why they're filling up a room. And then I got the difference between being someone who's speaking and then you have a keynote speaker. I really understood the difference. So I know that when someone asked me, hey, I want you to speak at an event, I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, but I can tell them what I do, because I did understand the difference of the two. And so, that being said, when you first started out, was there like a transition of learning to where you kindly got the graph to say, okay, now I'm getting it. Now I'm learning my audience, how to engage on what type of audience I need to bring in. Was it always like ever changing?
Yeah. So when I first started, I was like, hey, I want to be a public speaker. And, I speak as using as a marketing vehicle to grow my business, but also as a professional speaker as part of my career. But when I was like, I want to speak, I want to make an impact through my voice. I pitched like 60 different organizations on meetup.com in my local community and asked
Right.
to speak for free to like their small luncheon. And I got all rejections or no response. And I felt so discouraged. And I was like, hey, well, I guess I can't be a public speaker if no one's giving me the opportunity. And after months of living with that, rejection, that fire, that passion was still so inside of me. And I felt like I had to speak right now or I couldn't go on. Like I had to. And so that's when I decided, I was like, if you're not going to let me speak on your stage, I'm just going to create my own.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And my first event was under my blog at the time called Hello Perfect. And we had 5 people show up. And I was like, yes, I get to inspire 5 people because there's always been about one person at a time for me. And then I went to 20 people, 35 people, and soon enough, people in my audience started to ask me to speak at their event. And I spoke for free for about a year till I got my first paid gig. But through that journey, I mean, I learned so much on what works for me and the different styles of speaking. It's very different to speak on live video than it is to speak in person as a keynote speaker or on a panel or delivering a workshop. Like there's so many different skill sets for each of those different platforms. And also the way you practice. I remember someone told me, a coach told me, you have to memorize the speech. And I did that and I forgot like one word and I got so thrown off. I turned bright red. I was like, I messed up so much. I was so nervous. I couldn't do it. I was like, I am never doing that again. Doesn't work for me. And so for me, I have my bullet points. I have my transition and story, but I am so much in the moment that every speech is a little bit different because it's not memorized. And that's what helps me personally bring out my authentic energy on any stage. Now, a lot of people memorize. It depends. For a TEDx talk, though, which I did, it's 15 minutes or less. You have to memorize that because it's literally like 10 to 15 minutes. So again, there's so many different things that you need to learn. That's what I teach in my course that will be launching in January again. But all of it comes down to finding what works best for you, having someone to help like unleash that, and how can you then tie that back into your main goals as an entrepreneur, right? If your main goal is to get more subscribers, then you need to be speaking on other people's platforms as guests to get people as subscribers. If my goal right now is to promote my book, I'm not just promoting it to my community, I'm speaking on other people's platforms. So you have to, and every time your goals can change, right? When you're launching a program, when you just want to speak, pro bono because you just are, now able to give back your time, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, it creates impact and income that really no other avenue does this for you without, even spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads. Like it doesn't establish the credibility factor, which is long lasting, that speaking does.
Do you think when you how long before were you speaking before you said, okay, it's time for me to write this book? Like, how did you know it was time? And then my next question would be, I hear that when you write a book, and if it's a biography or personal, it becomes almost like reliving, and sometimes it's completing, you're going back over and over because you're forgetting something, or maybe not wanting to go back and deal with what you had already, conquered, so how long before you ended up saying, okay, I'm going to write this book, I'm going to just put it all out there?
So it's been my dream to be an author since I'm 10 years old. So I always wanted to write a book. And actually, shortly after my near-death experience, when I was dealing with my autoimmune and learning how to live with that, I started writing. And I wrote 30,000 words in a memoir style. And it just still lives in a Google Doc. And And I never got it published. I reached out to a few book agents, but nothing ever came from that. And that was really hard to even write 30,000 words, which is basically about half of a regular size book. And I think it was, I wasn't sure how to write it. I didn't know if this was even sellable. I didn't know if, what was the main focus of this book. Like, there's so many unknowns. I was just more writing, and because I wanted to be an author and I didn't know how to. And so when I wrote this book, I got an opportunity where I was scouted, from the publisher. So I actually skipped the agent part, which is kind of funny in the sense where my publisher ended up coming to WEX in Los Angeles, which was end of February, right before the pandemic hit in 2020. And they saw what I was doing. They saw the community I built. They saw me speak, and they've reached out and said, are you interested? We would love to offer you a book deal. So this was like, yes, I'm 100% interested. I mean, it took a while to like figure out all the contract and all that stuff, but it was like, this has been my dream forever. And when I first started writing this book, I was working with one of their book coaches, which we also pair in WEX Press, because it's so needed, especially if you have so many ideas and so many stories. I started out writing so many things and like down of all the stories and lessons. And my book coach was like, Alexa, you have like 3 books here. Because I like think of so much. And this book actually started as a whole different topic, a different title. And it was through the journey of writing that I just had that beautiful epiphany moment that I was like, yeah, I've had to adapt through every single story, like every single part of my journey that got me to that next level. I've had to adapt. How did I do that? Because that is the key to any type of success. And it's interesting because it could have not come on a better time, because we're all learning to adapt to this new normal, right? Adapt to going back to the workplace, adapt to staying at home, adapt to having kids at home while we're working from home, like all the different things we're adapting to. And we're going to have to continue because the world has changed. So that's what was like the journey in a way of writing this book. And going to your second question, it is hard to share stories 100%. This is a self-help book, so it's not written in chronological order, but each chapter, the story is first linked to a really personal story, or the lesson is linked to a personal story. And some stories were ones I've never shared before. I still will have a hard time sharing them as a speaker. For some reason, I am more open writing first. But I had to set aside time to write this book every day without other things like interviews or anything like that, because I worked really hard to bring myself back into that spot versus writing from memory. And what helped me do that, which I'm very grateful for now looking back, is I journaled almost every day through those 7 years of tragedy. And those journals are so vulnerable. I feel my pain in them. And that's what helped me get back to that state, which was hard, because then it's hard to just flip back and then be like, positive business owner, talking on gigs. So I had to really be in a season of writing versus like marketing my business. But that's what I think makes this book so transformational for the early readers who have read the book already. The feedback has been incredible because they can relate to it. I mean, not everyone's been through a near-death experience. Not everyone has an autoimmune. Not everyone has had a crazy experience in Israel or New York City or whatever the different stories are, or certain embarrassing moments. But they all can relate to the lessons that were pulled from those stories. And they find a story in their life that really resonates. And now their perspective on that tragedy, that obstacle, is different. And when you shift your perspective on your current and past challenges, all of a sudden they empower you to keep going, to be yourself, to share more, to get the weight of the world off your shoulders. And so it really is an inner journey that you'll take while reading Adaptable.
Do you think moms can share it with their daughters? teenagers.
Yes, 100%.
So I know that even though it's about you and it's women empowerment, I think a lot that you say and share, I think it also could resonate with men. And I mean, because although everybody has a different journey or a different challenge. I mean, so I just want to say that because I know I have a lot of male listeners. I check out my statistics and my geographical where people are listening from. And so, but even though I'm just saying to men, it's Alexa Carlin and she's a woman and she's telling her journey and her story and she's empowerment. There's always something you can get, or maybe someone that they know who is having some need a little bit of guidance. It could be a wife, a sister, a brother. There's always something where you can pick up the book, you can look at it or connect with her. So I just don't want to say we're not talking about you guys just because we didn't say males here on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we actually have quite a few men in our community. And I just had a book launch in Fort Lauderdale, and a lot of men showed up because, like you said, the lessons are universal. They really are. And I think when we actually have more men on board that not just, buy it and hand it off, but actually learn as well from it, that's when they're going to be able to empower their daughters, their wife, their partners, their colleagues, and
Right.
really come from that place of leadership versus just like, oh, it's by a woman for women. No, it's by women for all.
I know you've worked with some really great brands. I want to know, like, how did that even happen? Because I'm thinking, like, did you even think, like, wow, I'm here, I'm here, like, are they like, look at yourself like, really, they want to work with me?
So I've been on social media for quite a few years, and I got into the influencer world right away back in really 2014 when I was really big on Periscope when that live streaming app took off.
Okay.
And and yeah, I've always stayed true to who I am on social and only worked with companies that resonate with me or I know will resonate with my audience. So there's a lot of companies that I turn away, but yeah, currently, like, I'm a Samsung ambassador, and that was an incredible opportunity that came my way to work with them as an exclusive technology partner, which is great because I use all different tech gear to run my business, and they're looking to support women and support my career and support my community, and it was a very seamless, um flow in the sense of I can easily talk about it. I can easily use their products. I believe in what they're doing. I believe in their marketing. I believe in their mission. And that's what's really important. I mean, they're all about like defying the odds, which is like my whole story, right? I had a 1% chance to live and I defied the odds. So that's where it really shows an authentic partnership. And I think that's really important when you want to work with brands as like sponsorships or influencer gigs. You have to make sure to always stay true to who you are. And then from there, see what brands align with that.
So I know that I love your website, by the way. I like the whole hat on your book where it's almost
Thanks.
like hats off. You know what I mean? Like you kind of made it to that. And I'm sure you're still on a journey yourself. So, will you be, are there any future now that, the whole pandemic is sort of kind of almost over, where you'll be out again at events for women, empowerment, Empower X, that you'll be opening up doors for other women that they can maybe go to the website and then have updates or get notifications?
Yeah. So right now, we don't have any set big conference has a set date for next year, but we are always opening opportunities for women. So if you want to know when our next event will be or different opportunities for you to connect with our community, with influential leaders that we bring into our community, you could go to womenempowerx.com and sign up for our email list and learn more. Also, we're doing a lot of virtual stuff as well through the membership. And actually, some of our members have met in person. So you start to find, your little inner circle through our platform. So, yeah. And then of course I'm doing book signings. So, myself and the WEX community will be in DC in November and Raleigh, North Carolina in November.
Do you do virtual speaking? I don't know if people even do that, because it would think like you could if someone wanted to say, hey, would you be willing to? And because I don't know if there is virtual speak. I've never seen it because I've always gone someplace.
Oh yeah. I mean, the past year and a half, it's been a huge part of my business. I mean, I've been getting booked left and right for virtual, and I set up an entire studio, which I'm in now.
Wow.
Thankfully I bought a house over the pandemic with my fiance, and I built out the finished attic into a full studio. So even in front of me, I have another set. This I could stand. So when I'm speaking, I'm standing. I have like tons of tech equipment. I had to learn how to do all of it. I didn't know how to do any of it, but it took a full year. But through that, I've been getting tons of bookings. I mean, like on Monday, I spoke at the University of Georgia to 100 students. I mean, I could speak all over the country within 1 week because it's all virtual, and I get paid to do it as well. So virtual gigs is here, and it's here to stay, because what we've been hearing a lot as event organizers, and especially as an event organizer myself,
Yeah.
you can reach way more people, and you can get a lot of bigger talent, because one, it's a lot to ask someone to fly somewhere and speak, or you have to pay them a very, very large fee to do that. And so with virtual speaking, you can have someone come into your sales group, for example, for 10 to 15 minutes, and they're just speaking virtually live, and there's still so much energy and connection that can be shared virtually.
Well, I think actually your book came, I think, in the perfect timing, because people are now having to, like you said, pivot and adapt to this whole new kind of reality world. And how do you do that when you were just probably, many of us were just getting comfortable, and now it's like, so now how do I change things after COVID being what you could and can't do, and now you still have these limitations, and especially people who were no longer able to connect with people that they were once connecting with. And then of course people like myself, who believe it or not, I'm an introvert. This helps me out of out of that. I couldn't do it by myself. I always need to have a second person. But then people like myself who are now like, gosh, now I have to get out there versus, being physically going to a networking event and being in a women's group. Now how do I change the whole, like the 380, to now doing everything virtual and being able to, like, how do you to connect with people, but you think virtually isn't connecting. You know what I'm saying? So I think your book is very on point right now.
Yeah, thank you. And it's true. It's like you you can either complain or you can act, right? You can focus on all the things you don't have control over, or you can make the most of what you do and see things not as they are, but rather as they can be. And that's what I hope my book, Adaptable, teaches people and helps people realize that they always have the light within them to turn their life around, regardless of the circumstances. And in the world we're living today, there's so much opportunity, but you have to seek out that opportunity.
Well, I know we're close to the end of the show, and I mean, you're very, very influential. Everything you have to say, I resonate with. And I really I did watch quite a few of your YouTubes, where you were public speaking. And then I could see that there were some things that you were sharing. It didn't say the whole thing, it just gave little snippets. So, but if you guys go to her website, which I put in the comment section, then you can see everything. And of course, follow Alexa. Or, of course, you can go to the website, entrepreneurlifeshow.com, and you will see the full interview, if you've missed anything, if you didn't see it live. And, of course, I want to again thank you for being a guest on the show. I do sincerely appreciate that. I get the best guests. I just have the best guests. So anyway, but I want to make sure that people know where to find you, even though it's going to be on the website and the interview, so they can hear you and where to get the book, if you don't mind, before we exit the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm Alexa Rose Carlin across all social media. You can find me anywhere: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all the above. Alexa Rose Carlin. feel free to reach out to me. And you can get your copy of Adaptable anywhere books are sold, your local bookstore, online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target. It's out there.
Well, thank you everybody who has been watching and tuning in, and make sure you go to the entrepreneurlifeshow.com website, watch the whole interview. Also there you can share, subscribe to any platform that you are on, and definitely connect with the Carlin there. So just in case you missed something, but you can see her, she's so pretty and everything, so transparent, so you can watch the whole live interview. And we will see you next Thursday with the next guest on Thursday's show. Check out the calendar. Bye, everybody.